They can lose 2. Mike Pence would then break the tie and go forward. Rand Paul already is a no. And listen here, it sounds like he has absolutely no indication he's going to change his mind.
That's just not repeal. I didn't promise people to keep a $1 trillion spending program and reshuffle the money among the states. This is not repeal. It's not even, it's barely Obamacare light. It keeps Obamacare. It's not what we promised.
Now, we could list a dozen or so, quote unquote, undecided senators, but you walk the halls of the Hill all the time. Most people think this comes down to what does Susan Collins of Maine say. Today, again, she said a lot of concerns about this because of the Medicaid provision. Give Alaska, her governor is part of a letter for a bipartisan group of governors who say, bad deal, we don't want this. And John McCain of Arizona, whose governor came out and said, I do like this bill, but even after that, a lot of people thought that would be the gateway for McCain to say yes. Even after that, he says, I'm still not there, largely raising process questions, but clearly, as he did last time, I think saving his space to be the Republican elder at the last minute.
And remember that the Arizona governor also supported the so-called skinny repeal plan that McCain dramatically voted against that late night vote in June. So it's not completely up to what Governor Ducey wants, but you can see how Republicans have kind of tried to deal with the process concerns that Senator McCain especially has laid out. They are having a couple of hearings next week, a critical one in the Senate Finance Committee over the Graham-Cassidy legislation. They will have a partial CBO score from on the cost of the bill, but it's not going to include, you know, how many people gain or lose coverage from this legislation, what's the impact on premiums, and is that a fair process? I'm not quite sure.
And it's a dramatic shift back to the states under this bill. A lot of the things that are decided in Washington, a lot of the money Washington decides how to spend go back to states. States get lump sum block grants. States get their Medicaid money, then every governor. So you're going to have 50, essentially. If you haven't liked the Obamacare debate we've had the last 7 or 8 years, under this bill, if it became law, we would have it in 50 states for who knows how long as it plays out. To the point about getting to 52, Rand Paul, we played the sound from him. He's a no. I sort of sense the same quicksand coming up that we've seen in past repeal efforts. The president tweeting this morning, Rand Paul is a friend of mine, but he's such a negative force when it comes to fixing health care. Graham-Cassidy bill is great, ends Ocare, but Rand Paul, just last hour, tweeting back, keeps calling the president his friend, tweeting back, this new gang bill is another Grahamnesty, this time for Obamacare. Conservatives have seen this before. Lindsey Graham was part of comprehensive immigration reform, which Rand Paul says gives amnesty. So now we're giving amnesty to Obamacare if you accept Rand Paul's language. It doesn't sound to me like Republicans are settling their family feud here.
And I can tell you that a lot of Senate Republicans aren't quite too happy with Senator Paul right now, who, I mean, it makes it hard for the vote counters and leadership if you're already down 1 vote with Senator Paul being so adamantly against it. My colleague Burgess Everett and I did a story this morning where senators publicly and privately in a little bit more colorful language venting their frustrations about Senator Paul's stance on the Graham-Cassidy legislation. But Senator Paul is undeterred, as we just saw on his interview there. And
the White House is, if anything, exacerbating the splits that we've been talking about in the Republican Party for all these years, and whether it's this, whether it's the DACA fight that's coming up, whether it's the tax fight that's coming up, it's not clear that the Republicans are all in the same place.
Appreciate everybody dealing with kind of a little bit of a breaking news up and down hour. That's it for us on Inside.
And their ideas will continue to move the world forward as long as they have someone to believe in them. Citi financed the transatlantic cable that connected continents, and the Panama Canal that made our world a smaller place. We backed the Marshall Plan that helped Europe regain its and pioneered the ATM for cash anytime. For over 2 centuries, we've supported dreams like these and the people and companies behind them. So why should that matter to you? Because today we are still helping progress makers turn their ideas into reality. And the next great idea could be yours.
We're clearing out summer inventory at the Yellow Tag clearance sale at Lumber Liquidators. Take 20% off Woodlook waterproof floors like top-rated Avella Woodlook tile and Click ceramic plank. Get 10 to 23% off all Dream Home X2O water-resistant laminates and 10% off all Builder's Pride and Virginia Millworks pre-finished hardwood. More from 39 cents and take an extra
216 back now for your no-cost MRI review.
Take your first step in joining over 60,000 patients who found lasting relief at Laser Spine Institute.
When you're in that much pain and you live on painkillers, you really don't have quality of life. I feel like Laser Spine Institute was an answer to prayer. The heavens had opened up and it was like, I can live again.
If you've been told you might need neck or back surgery, call 1-800-216-BACK now for your no-cost MRI review.
Laser Spine Institute, a less than 1-inch incision, a lifetime of standing tall.
Whoa, this looks worse than I thought.
Mike and Jen Doyle?
Yeah.
Time for Medicare, huh?
I have no idea how we're gonna get through this.
Follow me. Choosing a plan can be super complicated, but it doesn't have to be. United Healthcare can guide you through the confusion with helpful people, tools, and plans, including the only plans with the AARP.
Hello, I'm Wolf Blitzer in Washington. Wherever you're watching from around the world, thanks for joining us. Former President Barack Obama is about to speak, getting ready to speak right now at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's Goalkeepers event. Make some major remarks on health care and other very sensitive issues. Let's listen in.
It's girls' education or global health or climate change. You're setting a standard for the sorts of innovation and persistence and activism. A threat that may define the context of this century more than just about anything else. Here was the interesting thing. Bill saw this not simply as a challenge, but also as an opportunity. And I remember him in sort of a matter-of-fact way saying, well, we're going to just have to go ahead and invent some new technologies. Which I said, I agree, let's do that. Although he knows more than me about inventing new technologies. But